Hello, my name is Putri Alisha Shakira. Now I'm going to present about role of International Standards on Auditing, also known as ISA. International Standards on Auditing (ISA) seek advice from professional requirements, coping with the obligations of the impartial auditor, even as conducting the financial audit of economic info. Those requirements are issued by using International Federation of Accountants, also known as IFAC, via the International Auditing and Assurance Standard Boards, also known as IAASB. The ISAs consist of necessities and goals at the site of application and different explanatory material. The auditor is compulsory to have knowledge approximately the complete text of an ISA, counting its application and other explanatory material, to be aware about the objectives and to apply the requirements applied. Now let's talk about how International Standards on Auditing (ISA) is different from Malaysian Approved Standards of Auditing, also known as MASA. There are two that we can know from. First is auditing standards. The Accounting and Auditing Committee, also known as AAC of MIA, is responsible for issuing pronouncements on auditing matters. MIA are called Malaysian Approved Standards on Auditing (MASA). Main functions are the issuance of guidelines on the interpretation of auditing standards and reviewing, making recommendations and submissions on corporate law, methods, effective financial reporting, and related matters. The next one is accounting standards. The responsibility of the Malaysia Accounting Standards Board, also known as MASB, established under Financial Reporting Act 1997. Institute participates actively in the MASB standards setting process. MIA also educates its member on the application of the MASB standards.
I'm Nuri Adina. I'm going to explain about internal control system and its component. Internal control system is a rule and procedure applied by the company to produce a fraud-free financial and accounting information as to maintain its truthfulness and encourage accountability. There are 5 components of internal control, which are control environment. It is a standards, processes, and structures set that provide the basis on how to do the internal control across the organization. Second is risk assessment. Risk assessment. Before auditor can test the internal control of the client, auditor need to identify if there is any risk that can affect the financial statements of the client. Third is control activities. It is the policies and procedures that help to make sure that all the rules set by the management of the organization are being carried out, such as authorization of important documents and segregation of duties. Fourth is information and communication. This is important to the employees in the organization as it helps the employees to receive any important information that must be taken seriously and clearly from the management. And lastly is monitoring. This is to help the auditor to identify risks, reduce the time auditors spend on auditing the internal control of the client, or focus more in other areas.
Hi, I am Amir Hafiz bin Amran. I want to present about the effect of CIS on ICS, which means CIS is Computer Information System, while ICS means Initiative Compliance Sustainability. To begin with, if a company does not follow the legal requirements of its internal control system, it may be penalized and fined. The effectiveness of compliance controls can have a direct impact on the company bottom line as well as its public reputation. Secondly, moreover, it can also have an impact on business culture because there are strong controls over fraud. Strong internal controls system can influence all levels of management to refrain from committing fraud.
Now I'm going to talk about how we can differentiate between auditing around the computer and and auditing through the computer. Auditing around the computer, way that processing done by way of the laptop machine wishes not to be audited, as auditor expects that sufficient suitable audit proof may be obtained by means of reconciling inputs with outputs. In easy words, proof is drawn and conclusions are reached without considering how inputs are being processed to provide outputs. From time to time, it also way conducting audit without using computer machine. But former is widely understood meaning of the word. Nowadays, audit across the PC is taken into consideration as an auditing technique. It's most extra frequently known as black field audit method. Auditing through the computer complies with the audit path through the internal PC operations, which will affirm that the processing controls which can be included in the ICE applications are functioning well. Moreover, it tries to validate the accounting records being processed. The auditor assumes that CPU and further hardware are functioning nicely. The 5 techniques used in auditing through the computer includes the use of test data, integrated test facility, and parallel simulation to test programs, use of audit strategies to validate laptop applications, use of logs to review structures software, use of documentation and CAATS to validate person money owed and access privileges, and use of embedded audit modules to gain continuous auditing. Inquiry is a reliable testing method that combines interview-style inquiry with the use of touch for specific control, because the best of the facts obtained through inquiry are dependent on interviewee accuracy and truthfulness. It is considered a weaker form of proof. Auditor use the inquiry method to interrogate the agency's management, accountants, and other important individuals in order to determine some relevant facts. The auditor may also inquire about the company practice and the correct recording of financial transactions in order to ensure that the employee is doing everything possible to minimize the risk. The second one is examination or inspection of evidence. This checking out approach facilitates auditor to determine whether guides control are being always done and well documented. Inspection may be used affirm to implementation and manipulation measure and to test positive attributes of guidelines and tactics. The last one is re-performance. When inquiry, observation, physical examination and inspection have failed to provide the perceived essential assurance that the system is working effectively, re-performance is used. It is also the strategy that employed the least in the area. The overall performance necessitates the auditor performing the manipulation in question manually, such as reappearing a calculation that is generally automated. The auditor can use work done by an internal auditor and documented in paperwork, so only a sample of work needs to be read and examined for accuracy.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Sarah. Now I'll present about document related to internal control system. Auditor can select from 4 distinct forms of auditor opinion report, which is unqualified opinion clear report, qualified opinion qualified report, disclaimer of opinion, and adverse opinion. So first, a clear report is one that has an unqualified view. This is the most common sort of report issued by auditors. This is also the sort of report that most business anticipate receiving. An unqualified opinion does not contain any negative remarks or disclaimers concerning any provision or the audit procedure. This sort of report implies that the auditor are pleased with the financial reporting of the organization. According to the auditor, the company's activities are in excellent conformity with governance principles and applicable legislation. The corporation, the auditors, the investor, and the public all believe that such a report is devoid of serious misstatement. However, when an auditor is unsure about a particular process or transaction and cannot offer an unqualified or clean report, the auditor may choose to issue a qualified opinion. Investors do not trust qualified comments since they convey a poor view of company's financial situation. Auditors write up a qualified opinion in the same way they write up unqualified opinion, with the difference that they explain why they are unable to offer an unqualified view. A typical cause for auditor is that the firm did not submit its record in accordance with GAAP. Disclaimer of opinion disclaimer report is it suggests that they are refraining from expressing any opinion about the financial statement. Auditor may declare a disclaimer of opinion if they believe the company has hampered their capacity to perform a complete audit or if they have not received adequate solution for their inquiries. They may have been unable to interpret the true nature of some transaction or get sufficient proof to support acceptable financial reporting. An unfavorable audit opinion is the last form of audit opinion. Auditors who are dissatisfied with the financial statement or find a high level of major misstatement or irregularities understand that this creates a situation in which investor and the government will doubt the company's financial report. A negative audit opinion is a huge red flag. A negative audit report often implies that financial records include material misstatement and have the potential for fraud. Adverse opinions are a warning flag that the company's records have not been prepared in accordance with the GAAP. This is taken seriously by financial institutions and investors who will refuse to do business with the company. That's all from me, and I will pass to the next presenter.
Next, I will explain the flowchart of inventory purchase and sale. For inventory purchase, first, as you can see, other department will disperse the purchase requisition to the purchase department. After that, after receiving the purchase requisition, purchase department will process the purchase requisition and prepare the purchase order. Next, for the sales for the site, first, sales department will disperse the invoice to be given to the customer. Then the customer will do the payment by cash or check. After that, sales department will do the counting and recording for the total daily taking. And after that, payment voucher will be given out, and then the controlling and reconciling the bank statement will be done, and lastly it will be recorded in general ledger.
Hi, let's continue our audit topics with each subsequent event. Firstly, subsequent events are those that occur after company fiscal year ends but before the financial results are released. There are two types of subsequent event, which is adjusting events and non-adjusting events. Adjusting event is an event that occurs after the reporting period that gives additional evidence of conditions that existed at the end of the reporting period. While non-adjusting events means is an incident that occurs after the reporting period that is indicative of conditions that develop after the reporting period ended. ISA 560 as occurrence that occur between the reporting date and date approval of the financial statements and signature of the auditing report. So, ISA 560 is to ensure that the auditor performs audit assurance that all events occurring up to expected date of the auditor report have been identified, properly accounted for, and disclosed in the financial statements. That's all.